Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey David, how are you doing tonight?
Uh, After an Oilers game like that, it's a cold night at Edmonton. I think it's kind of for some reason, a little bit of a down night, and that game tonight did not help. Of course, we were all it was a we were all expecting the Oilers to be in tough after playing 22 hours ago, 22 hours before game time in Chicago. But that was a brutal game on a number of levels. The Oilers lost 5-3 to the Minnesota Wild. Let's get into it. Our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers. Podcast Bruce, did you see a good thing in that game?
uh, yeah, a couple in the early going, and this game it was not enjoyable from the beginning, really. But it was what the Oilers needed was to get a couple of goals, and their big guys were, they needed the big guys to come through and produce a little bit of offense, and then maybe find a way to hang on and keep a low event game, and maybe even just get it to overtime and take your chances there. And so we'll give check marks for scoring the first goal of beauty too on the power play. Draisaitl one timer, and then when Minnesota tied it on what seemed like their first decent chance of the game, Edmonton came right back, and again the big guys, Draisaitl and McDavid, produced to give the team the 2-1 lead. So at least in part they had one part of the formula for possible success in a game where, frankly, a lot of the cards were stacked against them before puck ever got dropped. And it's going to sound like whining, and I'll say this: every team faces games like this from time to time, and usually they lose them. And the way to respond to that is, if you're going to lose your scheduled losses, which is to be expected, the next time some team comes into Edmonton playing their third game in 4 nights, that played at 8 o'clock the night before, and suddenly they're playing at 6 o'clock, and they've flown in from somewhere else, you jump them and you stomp them. And that's what Minnesota did. They were fresh, rested for 3 days. The Oilers played 2 games since the last time Minnesota played. And that's the response: is you got to beat other teams on scheduled losses. And that's where the Oilers in the past have driven me absolutely nuts, where they blow games like this at home to teams that they should beat because they're tired and, traveled out. And Minnesota, to give them credit, they did what they had to do. They leaned on Edmonton and they jumped on every mistake, which was a lot of mistakes. So anyways, that's a good thing. The good thing is they got the goals, they got the early lead, they got at least gave themselves a chance to win it. And unfortunately, the other elements of the formula, like stay out of the penalty box, don't give the puck away, uh, make proper line changes, make a save once in a while, all of those things were kind of missing. Yeah. So in the end, they just didn't have enough to prevent the inevitable.
Yeah, the grade A shots were 12-6 for the Wild overall. So just 6 grade A shots for the Oilers. That's a really low, super low total. You're not going to win many games with just 6 grade A shots. I mean, that translates into 1.5 goals. So it's not like the Minnesota goalie Marc-Andre Fleury put on a goaltending performance for the ages either. Yeah, I was going to mention the Oilers had 2 leads, but I'll go with you. I think you covered that off. So I'm gonna. I did like the play, Bruce, of Philip Broberry. I thought this was his most settled game, where he looked most like he's getting in the flow, he's getting in the rhythm. He was starting to make plays, playing with a little bit more confidence. Not a lot of confidence yet, but I thought he looked good most of the game, and didn't play a perfect game. Obviously, none of the Oilers did, but again, I thought probably and this is a positive sign, because Ryan Murray and Marcus Niemelainen really struggled. They need someone who can step in and at least play third pairing. at left defense, and it would be nice if it would be great if it's him because the Oilers expended a high pick on him. They have now spent a number of years developing him, and yeah, that's they need him to come through, and it looks like he's showing a few signs that he's gonna on the grade A scoring chance front against St. Louis earlier this year. The Oilers had one game where they just had four,
Right.
and they were shut out that game. And then they had another game. Their lowest total other than that this year has been 8
Against the Kings.
against the Stars, game 12, and against the Kings in game 17. So that
I
was
was at that game. And the grade A shots were few and far between.
Yeah. Wow, this was a really hard game to watch. Although it looked like the Oilers might somehow be able to squeak through early on because Minnesota didn't look like it had much either. I mean, in the first period, Minnesota just had one 5-alarm shot, or excuse me, one grade A shot the whole first period.
Yeah.
Just one, and it was kind of a weak one. They put it into the slot, and there was a backhand shot, and Campbell made the save. But other than that, in the first period, that was it. And the Oilers had scored a goal, and they only had 2 grade A shots the whole first period, but they got a goal. It looked like it might be some kind of weird game that the Oilers somehow were going to win, but not to be. Bruce, what is your bad thing?
I'm going to single out a particular series of mistakes. This is on the 4-2 goal that really put this game to bed fairly early in the third period, 3 minutes into the third period. And it was kicked off. This is going to sound like whining again by a missed icing call by the linesman, where the puck got fired down Evan Bouchard's side of the ice, and the linesman figured that Philip Broberry coming all the way over to the other side of the ice should somehow get to it before it went all the way to the end boards. It didn't just sort of barely reach the goal line. It beat him by a long ways. But I guess Philip Broberry is not a veteran player like Alec Martinez was that got that call in Edmonton there last week. Anyway, that started the problem, and these guys had already been out for a while, and Bouchard got the puck once, and he couldn't clear it, and it came right back into the zone, and they were stuck out a while longer, and then Bouchard got it, and he dumped it up the right wing boards, and Broberry went to the bench safely for a change, but Minnesota had the puck in the neutral zone, and Bouchard decides that he needs to go over and make a change. So he's coming all the way from the right side. Cody Ceci has come on for Bouchard, and now Nurse is supposed to come on Ceci came on for Broberry, and now Nurse is supposed to come on for Bouchard. So they got the left and right thing all mixed up. And at the same time, Brad Malone, for reasons unknown to me, also decides to make the change. So he comes over to the bench at the same time, and McDavid comes over the boards to take his place. And in all this confusion, Nurse jumps over the boards, and then he decides, wait a minute, we got too many men, and he circles and he kind of dives back into the bench. Well, guess what? They didn't have too many men, and when Nurse and Bouchard both wound up on the bench, they wound up with no defenseman. They had one D-man, Ceci, trying to make the play on the pass, and no other D-man in the slot. And of course, the pass goes into the slot to Sam Steele, I think was that one.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
This turned out to be the game-winning goal in the end, and he made one little head fake that sent Jack Campbell spinning into the corner, and Steele made the easy tuck into the other side of the net. And it was just a bad play all the way around, starting with the linesman, but ending with a whole lot of brutal play, decision-making, execution, you name it, from the Oilers. That was just a poor exhibition of hockey on that sequence.
So you think that's why Nurse went back to the bench because of too many men? It wasn't that he thought Bouchard was in a better chance to stop the rush that was upcoming. I couldn't
Maybe
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, they never showed it. They never showed it properly.
Very good
the live
angle.
view was kind of. I viewed the live view about 10 times, David, and I tried to figure out. And it may be that Bouchard stopped at the last minute and decided to backpedal, and then Nurse thought there was indecision on the part of both men. And I'm not even sure if Nurse had even jumped out over the boards and rushed back, he would have got there. Like Bouchard, it was Bouchard's primary mistake in, abandoning his post with the puck on the stick of the other team, and they pounced. And they came up his side of the ice, and then the CC, as the right D man coming on to replace the left guy, he came over to try and defend the pass and couldn't. But in the meantime, there was nobody behind him. And, the two guys coming off the bench, and in theory, I mean, McDavid had no chance to get on the play. He'll get dinged with a minus on that one. I see Bouchard officially, like, it's as if Nurse never got on the ice at all, because Bouchard got the -1 on that one. Oh, I guess maybe it was Nuge and not, what, if I got the right one? No, yeah, it was McDavid. So anyway, it was, kind of the once they got the 2-goal lead, the game was over for sure at that point.
Yeah, there was no way they were going to work their way in with the amount of energy that they didn't have. There was just no way.
They had very little energy or discipline.
So that was the 7th grade A shot of the game for the Minnesota Wild, Bruce, and their 4th goal.
Yeah.
So my bad thing is Jack Campbell, and I think I've been patient. I think fans have been patient with him. Many fans have been patient, but honestly, Bruce, by the end of that game, I was checking his contract to see if he had a no movement clause or a no trade clause, because if he has just a no trade clause, they can send him to the minors. And the reason I was doing that was of course another pretty rough game for him, but he just he looked so out of sorts in the net. I don't think I've seen an Oilers goalie look this out of sorts in the net since Jeff Delorier was in net. 2009-10, I think it was the big year for him. And all year long, he was just sliding here, sliding there, always going too far, overreacting, out of the play. And that's Campbell was just out of the play so often tonight. Positionally, you mentioned in our comments, back and forth comments, you didn't think he was squared to one shot.
No.
And yeah, I was seeing the same thing. And the actual goals against, a lot of these were pretty good shots, 5-alarm shots, grade A shots. But an NHL goalie is supposed to stop 3 out of 4 grade A shots and 2 out of 3 5-alarm shots. So the fact that he let in 4 goals on 7 grade A shots is not at all good. We did tag him on the first goal against, this was on the power play. I think it was Kaprizov took a slot shot. Barry put it right on his stick. Barry was trying to clear the puck, and he slammed it right into the Oilers' slot to Kaprizov, who missed the net, and it rebounded hard off the net to a player at the side of the net, who put it in. And Campbell just seemed to overreact to both the initial shot and the second shot, and it went through him. So it's kind of a missed assignment where he wasn't where he should be. It was a tough play because of that puck coming hard off the boards, the end boards. But Campbell, he didn't look right on it, and he didn't look right all night. The last goal was screened by a couple players. There was lots of good moves. There was lots of nice plays by the Wild on their goals, but he needs to make a save. He needs to make a save, and he didn't make saves. He started, in the end, there was a number of hard shots. There's about 5-alarm shots in a row for the Wild in the third period after they'd score 4 goals already. And he stopped 4 of those. So in the end, he made some saves. So maybe something to build on. But I do honestly wonder whether he needs to go to the minors. Now, I'm reminded, Bruce, that when I had come to the end of my tether last year, finally with Mike Smith, and was also advocating, along with a lot of other people, that he go to the minors. That's exactly the moment that Mike Smith turned it around and went on a near miraculous run of games in April and May. So we can now expect for Jack Campbell to turn around and go on a marvelous run of outstanding play. But I don't know if he's Mike Smith. Mike Smith had a lot of physical problems,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not seeing that. I could be wrong, but what I'm seeing is a goalie who doesn't look at home in the net,
Yeah.
and maybe could use actually a stint in the minors. And I'm not kidding. Like I think that again, I don't think they're going to do it, but um, man, he was not right tonight.
No. No, definitely not.
Poor
He,
guy. Poor guy.
yeah. Well, I saw he wasn't square to the shots. I thought he was biting hard on first moves and beaten easily by
Yeah.
Kaprizov in front. I mean, there were a couple of them were certainly 5 alarm shots that got buried, but they got buried easily. He
Yeah.
overreacted to the one that went off the boards, and when he scrambled back, there was like 5 holes in the net, and the puck hit one of them. Uh, the shot from the point, was tipped a little bit. Somehow found a hole right through him. Where his stick should have been. Uh, and I just thought, his puck handling was terrible. He had like at
Yeah.
least 4 giveaways where
Yes. It's
he came
another
out to
thing.
play the puck and he just made a bad pass or a dangerous pass in a couple of cases. Like he just looked completely out of sorts to me, David. And this was a game where every Oiler in this game was tired. The only fresh Oiler was Jack Campbell. They needed Jack Campbell in this game, and they did not get a decent performance from their goalie. And, I mean, they scored 3 goals for him in the end, but they couldn't even get a point out of it because he faced, well, what'd you say, 4 goals on the first 7?
Yeah.
5 grade A shots, and it was
Yeah.
actually 5 on the first 9,
Yeah.
and one in between hit the post. The shorthanded breakaway hit the post, so he didn't stop that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And then he made 3. He stopped 3 5 alarm shots after it was 5-2.
Hmm.
So this was about the point where I decided I decided after the 5th goal he's getting a 1 tonight, but I guess I have to give him a 2 because he finally made some saves after that to keep it from getting to be 8-2. But holy moly, this is. This is just it's alarming, to be frank. Like
Yeah, it is.
The Oilers have committed long term to this guy, big money
5 years.
contract, long 5 years. At next year they're going to have to pay Stuart Skinner because by then it looks like he'll likely have earned the #1 job unless this turns around. And if every once in a while Campbell will have a decent game and then he'll have 2 bad games. So
Would you send him to the minors, Bruce? Yes or no?
I don't think they can, David, and I think they just gotta hope like hell he works it out and lean on the other guy. Because I mean,
Yeah.
the guy they signed to be #3, he's hurt and he hasn't played for a while, Pickard, and so they've got Olivier Rodrigue down there. Well, I mean, he's actually playing pretty good, but I mean, you're at the point where you're going to call him up and give him the net. That's where you go with Skinner and Rodrigue that played for Bakersfield last year, the 2 of them.
Well, it's about winning. And
Yeah, well,
no, I don't think they're
If
going to do
Campbell
it.
does have a winning record somehow,
They're not going to do
7
it.
wins and 6 losses, and they're not going to
It's
do it.
Ken
So,
Holland would not do that. He's just gonna. They're gonna. Skinner will be the clear #1, and he's going to get a lot of games until Campbell works this out. But man, he doesn't look like he's working. It looked like this is the discouraging thing. It looked like it was like in some ways it was his worst game. Um,
yeah.
because he just yeah, I think we've dwelled on this enough at this point. All right, Bruce, what's your number?
Well, I'm going to dwell on it a little bit more because this is
Oh,
our
okay.
number 2, Jack
All right.
Campbell.
All right. Here
Okay,
we go. Here we go.
here we go. This is as of tonight, December 1st, and the stats are updated. So in the NHL, there's 31 goalies, 31 who've started 10 or more games this year. So every team pretty much has one guy who started 10 games, and I think there obviously is one team that's had to split it among 3 guys because all the teams have played more than 20 games now. And of them, Jack Campbell of Edmonton Oilers ranks 31st and last with a 412 goals against average. Second worst is John Gibson of the mighty Anaheim Ducks,
Thank
not to
God
be
we didn't trade
confused
for
with the
him.
mighty Ducks of Anaheim,
Yeah.
who has 399, and every other goalie is under 3, and many of them are under 4, and many of them are under 3. And then on save percentage, 31st and last is Jack Campbell at 872, with 30th guy being Sergei Bobrovsky, the $10 million disaster in Florida. We can be thankful we don't have that. So I guess that's a bright light. Maybe that's my good thing in the end. So we have Campbell 5 years at 5 million, not Bobrovsky 8 years at 10 million, or 7 years, I guess, at 10 million. But yeah, 872. I mean, what is that? So,
It's not good.
and yeah, it's not good. And I just thought tonight, I thought technically he was terrible. I like to, I like to say nice things about the Oilers. I really can't. I just didn't see much, much to be positive about in the performance between the pipes. And like I say, this was a game Edmonton really needed him to be sharp and on the ball, and if not even steal the game necessarily. I mean, obviously that would have been great, but at least be sharp. And nope, didn't happen.
Yeah. I wish I could move on, but I can't because my number is 0.920, which is Olivier Rodriguez save percentage in Bakersfield
Okay,
in 9 games, which is
he's been
that's
good.
a really super solid AHL save percentage. And again, they're not going to do it, but man, that looks like a backup goalie right now in the NHL, 920 save percentage in the AHL. Yeah, I don't know what they do, Bruce. I know what they do. They're gonna ride it out, and let's just look at their schedule here and see if how many back-to-back games they play. I mean, if Stu Skinner comes
It's
through
every
this
other
season,
day for a while now, but geez,
is it?
you need 2 goalies to do that as well.
Yeah. If Stu Skinner comes through this season playing about 50 games with a 915 save percentage, man, the Oilers are going to pay as well. They're going to have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, December
Montreal.
3rd, Montreal. Monday,
Saturday,
December
Monday,
5th, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, okay. So we're going to see him at least twice in that span. So he'll have his chances. This is opportunity for Jack Campbell. It's got to be a mental thing, Bruce, at this point, because he wasn't this bad a goalie last year. Well, he was actually
The
in the
second
last part
half,
of
he
last
wasn't
year. He
very
was
good at
pretty
all.
bad, yeah. But he has, as I have said repeatedly on this podcast, he's put together, on average, if you look at his seasons on average, about 5 good pro seasons, 5 or 6 in a row, where he's been at least league average, whatever league he was in, and sometimes better than that. So this is at least a league average goal, and that's all really the Oilers need from Jack Campbell. He doesn't have to be the 925 save percentage goalie. If he's 915, that'd be great.
He's
That'd be 40.
900.
That'd
He's
be
900
40.
tonight. The Oilers have a point out of that game.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but
He's
900
just
is
gotta find a way.
yeah.
And again, the horrible thing is, I just had a feeling as I was watching this game, like if Skinner was in net, the Oilers would win this, because the chances, like you say, the chances were in tight, but they were savable. And he would have saved most of those, if not all of them, the way he's been playing. So, yikes, Bruce. I'm going to suggest that we leave it there. You've got the game to keep grading.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm
Sorry about that.
not sure I'm going. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to spend. I've said this before, but I think this is a game where terseness is my friend.
Yes. Yeah.
Not my usual style. Usually loquacious when it comes to grading.
600 words tops. That's my challenge to you. If you
terse for me is
it.
like anything under 1,500, but I think I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, no surprise. I mean, this is a game I fully expected to lose and they lost. I'm just still kind of a little sour about about how it went down and specifically about that one issue in particular.
I just
I
feel
think there
bad.
are excuses for, reasons, shall we say. I mean, McDavid himself said the schedule's not our friend. He quickly went on to say there's times like that for all teams, but this is our time, and right now it's not our friend, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, and the injury bug at forwards hit a little bit, and
Yeah.
Fogel's out, McLeod's. Just as Fogel and McLeod were gearing it up and playing, boy, they could have used those two guys tonight, like on the
Yeah.
third.
Yep.
Yes, Pugliarvi can't score a goal for the life of him. I mean, he got that one chance. Was that tonight going down the wing and he couldn't even get a shot off? Like,
Yeah, I think the D-man might have got a stick in there, but yeah, he couldn't get a
probably did.
shot off.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right,
it's
Bruce.
struggles.
Thanks for talking tonight.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.